Good morning, everybody. You are tuned to Computers 2K Now on the Nissan Communications Network. I'm AMNON, your host for the next few hours, along with Mike.
Hello, good morning. How are you? Welcome.
Good morning. Spence.
Is it that time again?
Yep. Nick.
Good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Oh, good morning. Two people are talking at the same time, so I think we got.
And Steve.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Our number is 919-518-9773. Computers 2K Voice on Skype. And this morning's show is being brought to you by Adamus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals. So, sorry, Mike. Spence, what were you saying?
Call us. We'll talk to you.
Oh.
And don't let that professionals thing scare you about Adamus. We use them too.
All right. I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm a professional.
You're an expert.
I'm an expert and a professional.
Okay.
I are a professional. Oh, yes.
He are.
Which begs an interesting question.
Oh, God.
What does that mean?
What does what mean?
What you just said.
What did I say?
What is a professional?
I don't know. I don't think it's important.
Somebody who gets paid for a specific expertise.
So getting paid makes you a professional?
Mike, we had this discussion like 2 months ago.
I know, but I don't remember. I'm getting old.
Well, maybe it's time to revisit.
So what is a professional, Nick?
I don't know what a professional is.
Okay.
There's
if anybody had any subsequent thoughts.
There's no set definition for professional. Some people argue it's somebody that's getting paid. Other people argue something else.
I had to go through a little bit of thought when people ask me, so what do you do exactly? I said, well, if I think about it, I am a professional handyman right now. That's my job. I get paid to provide my expertise to fix stuff. So I do it as a profession. I get paid for it. So, but if I just did it around my own house, I wouldn't say that.
All right. Well, Nick doesn't like my topic, so we're going to go with his. Go ahead, Nick.
So let's talk about. I'm ready. Yeah. See, Mike was trying to throw me under the bus there. It didn't work.
Go for it.
I don't think we covered this. The Netflix 4K thing. Did we cover that?
We already covered that.
When?
We covered it 2 months ago.
Oh. Well, it's like 2 or 3 days old. So.
Well, we knew it was coming.
But did we cover it? Did I miss it?
Go for it.
So Netflix has announced a new streaming, not a new streaming plan, not a new streaming service, but a new tier of their already existing Netflix server or service. They're naming it UHD, or they're going to be streaming UHD/4K content. And instead of your regular $7.99 a month, which if you got in before, is it like April or May of this year, that price went up to I think $8.99.
I thought it was $10.
No, it was $7.99. You've been a subscriber longer than.
I'm not a subscriber, but
you don't have Netflix?
No, my son-in-law is a subscriber.
But he's had it before, like
he's
April or May. Okay, so then you're paying he's paying $8 a month,
right.
And the new 4K plan, which it said at least August 2016, which is pretty far down the road. will be $11.99, which really isn't unreasonable. I get it. Those 4K files are going to be much bigger, even with the H.265 compression that I think they're going to use. I think that's what it is. It's still going to be a lot of bandwidth, but the problem I think we're going to have here is, well, great, I've got a 4K TV, and great, I've got my Netflix 4K, but my ISP is awful. Like, am I going to be able to stream 4K content? So I have the 4K plan. Am I actually going to be able to stream that 4K content?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the answer is. I'm actually writing an article about it in school, but I don't know the answer. I mean, even if you turn on Netflix now, if you watch it on the web, it buffers a little bit before it goes HD. Actually, sometimes can buffer a substantial amount before it goes HD. You could watch 3, 4, 5 minutes of a show before you get that switch over to HD, and I've got 30 plus megs down.
So
Andrew's
your
saying,
mileage will vary. I think it's one of those deals you can buy a car that goes 160 miles an hour, but you can't drive it that fast.
yeah, and then Andrew's saying that you need at least 25 megs down. I know that's what they say, but I still buffer. I still have to buffer HD for depending on. I think it's got to be based on their load, because my internet's pretty stable in terms of my upload and download speed. It doesn't fluctuate too much, and I still have to buffer on that. And also, Andrew's mentioning that you'll be able to stream four different shows on 4 different devices, which is an upgrade from the 2. So even if you don't want the 4K content, but you, let's say, have 4 or 5 people in your family, you can now upgrade to that plan and let 2 more people watch stuff at the exact same time.
Could it be that their marketing is ahead of the curve, that they're anticipating the rollout of gigabit services and it's just not there yet?
Well, yeah, and if they're saying it's going to be able to be done in 25 megs down, then that'll do it. But I don't agree with that number. That number's way too low, I think.
Well, that's under ideal conditions where you're not contending for bandwidth.
Although that's under ideal conditions for both ends. That's under ideal conditions for Netflix serving the content and for me consuming it. And that's never going to happen. We're never both going to be under.
I seem to remember there's being some controversy about actual design of the internet itself, and between who was the major top tier internet provider that was under contract to Netflix was restricting the same other customers from using the same bandwidth. It might have been Amazon Video. I'm not sure what it was, but it was a lot of controversy because they were showing favoritism where some ports on the same router were open and other ports were being throttled. And it was at the fundamental internet level. We're not talking about a local service. We're talking about the core backbone where Netflix connects to the internet in general.
Well, it's just interesting. Like, are they ahead of the curve? That's what they might be trying to do. Just trying to get out there. I'm not sure.
Could backfire on them.
From a marketing perspective, my guess would be, for starters, a lot of what we watch is only 720 anyway. 720 to 4K, big deal. 720 is fine for what the crap you're watching anyway. It's all a bunch of studios and CGI, but all that being said, it seems to me that the one benefit that Netflix and these 4K distributors are talking about is that's something that broadcast TV is probably never going to be able to do.
Yeah, never. They'll be dead before they do it. But it's interesting. Like, Mike, House of Cards, very well produced show. You're telling me you wouldn't want to watch that in 4K over 720p?
I'm not being funny here. I mean, we joke and so forth, but to me, I'm a quality guy, yes, and it's got some other stuff I'll talk about in that regard before the show's over, possibly. But look, this little box that I got from Time Warner because I don't have any of the advanced services in my upstairs TV. So Time Warner has this little 99-cent digital terminal adapter box. The only thing I've ever seen it do is 720. My TV is I think it's a 3740 or 42-inch TV. 720 is fine. Do I care that I might be able to see a couple more hairs on the head of the person talking? Would I like it? Yes. Would I pay extra for it? No. 720 is so far superior to what I grew up with that it gets to the point of possibly splitting hairs. It's the same approach that I take towards microphones. You can use an ATR 2100 like Nick is using and get a great sounding microphone. You can get a PR40 and it'll sound better. Is it worth 6 times the price? No.
Yeah, exactly. But now that's an older school mentality right there.
Well, I'm old school.
Exactly.
As are a lot of people who are spending the money.
Exactly. So it's you've got the younger generation like Andrew and myself saying yes, it's yes, as much whatever resolution you can give me, I'll take it. I'll pay extra for it.
But let me say it this way. If I'm sitting in a room that has a 720 TV and a 4K TV and I have 2 remote controls, all I have to do is decide which one to turn on. I'm watching the 4K. No question. It would the more gooder, the more better. But am I going to go out and spend the money to upgrade from a 1080 to a 4K TV? Nope. Am I going to pay an extra $20 a month to the cable company to get enough download speed to do it? Nope. Am I going to pay $20 extra for the? No. There's just a lot I'm not going to do. But if it's made available to me, I would be thrilled.
No, I mean that's another thing. The 4K TVs are not cheap yet. They're not as expensive as they were a few years ago, but they're definitely not cheap.
And Andrew's saying, when and how will the cable providers do 4K? Who knows? They won't do it until they're forced into it. They're barely doing 1080i. My understanding is that the cable companies, yeah, they're doing 1080i. My question is when they're going to go 1080p.
Not everybody's 1080i. Fox News is still 720. Fox News has always been 720p, which is interesting.
There's an article, it was written in May, but it was an interview with a representative from Netflix, Neil Hunt, and talking about what they're trying to do by shooting all their shows in 4K, all their own in-house productions. They're trying to push the envelope. They realize that people are still not convinced that UHD is necessary or reliable as a service. But they're trying to push the envelope. They admit it. They say we're out there ahead of the pack. We're trying to drive the technology.
Well, the thing is for them so let's say they invest in a 4K camera 2 or 3 years ago. That'll pay off when in 2 or 3 more years the backlog will be able to be 4K and people can watch their show in 4K
right, when the technology catches
exactly up. In 2016 or in 2017 when it's available. When you're watching a show that was produced in 2012 and it's in 4K, that's when they're thinking that's when the payoff is going to be when people can actually watch it.
Well, think about though their model for shooting their own shows and owning the content is that they hope to play that stuff for years and years to come. Because, like me, I discover shows that are 5, 6, 7 years old that are still very interesting to watch in a binge because I never watched it in the beginning. So they're going to have a lot of their own owned content that's going to be 4K, so they'll be ahead of the pack.
Exactly.
Yep.
And that's the goal.
So here I have a question about this.
Okay.
So we know that they will not stream at 4K because bandwidth. Because of bandwidth, let's put it this way.
Who won't?
TV stations.
Okay.
But why wouldn't they transmit? Where is the...
They don't have 4K equipment.
Okay,
doing 4K post-production and doing 4K live production are 2 totally different things. 4K live production is unbelievably expensive. You can get a 4K camera for a few $1,000 and then throw it in the After Effects, and now you're editing in 4K.
Okay, so we can almost say for certain that WRL here will probably do 4K the first, because they did HD the first. But
it depends on the cost of doing it. I mean, they were out ahead of everybody, but the standard was coming. It was established that that's the way the FCC was going to go. So it was to their advantage to get out ahead of everybody. There's
Okay.
nothing saying that 4K is going to take over as the dominant broadcast technology.
Okay, so the only reason that they're not doing anything higher than 720p like at Fox is because they don't have the equipment and they don't want to spend the money now on it.
No clue.
Oh, okay, so it's because they don't have the equipment.
They can afford the equipment if they want it. They've made a business decision that it's not worth them doing so
Okay.
just yet. I mean, you guys are dogging on Fox for being 720p.
No.
no.
Hold on here. No.
No.
None of this
One-
dogging on Fox thing. We're not
No.
dogging on Fox. You said
Don't be
everybody.
talking about Megyn Kelly.
You said everybody's 1080i, and I said there are still cable channels that are not. Fox
What
is a
I'm
prime
telling
example.
Is I have not done this, but I'm told that if you compare 720p to 1080i, you will be hard pressed to tell the difference.
I'm sure you will. We're not saying that there's a difference, but it's interesting that everybody is doing 1080i and there's still channels that are doing 720p. Now, if AMNON may be right with, or Mike might be right with saying they don't want to spend the money, or maybe they have a reason why they don't want to do it. Maybe it's something with the transferring of the video. I don't know what it is, but clearly they've made a decision that, all right, no, everybody else is doing this, we're going to do this, and for whatever that reason is, I'm not sure.
Well,
But-
the other thing to think about too, it is really a cost decision, because the difference between 720 and 1080 from a studio perspective, just the cost of backgrounds, makeup, all these things that have to be taken into consideration. I'm not giving them an excuse. I'm just saying that maybe somebody, a pencil pusher, made that decision. Maybe they're waiting for the next big thing, and that's where they're going to invest.
Okay, so here's another tidbit that I was not aware of with my Uverse story. I didn't know that on Uverse, every HD TV that you have at home, when you use it, it takes 8 megabits of your bandwidth.
Your internet bandwidth?
Yep. If you get 30 meg down and you have 3 TVs and you use them all at the same time, HD, deduct 24 megabits right there.
No wonder nobody uses you first.
So I don't understand how they can sell 6 down and ask people if they also want HD TV. That is really ridiculous. I mean, I went through it this week with the senior technician who came over. It didn't work out because they had the wrong address written down. It was the same. I mean, it was so dumb.
So you can't get it?
No, I can. They had 5421 Wayne Street, first floor telco room, which I have no idea where that come from, because we never had a telco room or any of that stuff. That did not have 45 available. But 5421 Wayne Street does have 45. So when
I think it's
the what?
I think you have that designation because you have a T1 coming into the house.
It doesn't matter. The point is it's
But
the
I mean,
same.
that's why they have. That's
it's
why
the
they call
same
it a telco room.
structure. So what do you mean one can and one cannot? It's the same cable that's coming into that. But anyway, and that technician really knew his stuff. And we were talking. He was explaining how it's a bonded pair and all that, and it's true. If you run twisted pair from the street to the house, and which is what they're going to have to do, then you get more bandwidth. There's a lot of things. But one other thing was, yes, it takes 8 megabits of your downstream to support an HD TV. On SD, he said it takes about 3 to 5
And that's continuous.
as you're using it. If
So
the TV is on... What? Go ahead.
So that's an artificial thing then.
Well, it's not artificial, quote unquote, because the way that he was trying to fix it so he could install it anyway, he couldn't. But the way that he called the package, it wasn't 45 by 5. They call it internally as 55 megabits. That's the package, 55. I said, what do you call 55? He said, where it's 45 down, 5 up, and then you have 5 more megabits for overhead. So they allocate 55 megabits to you. So it is artificial when they say that it's for your internet browsing speed. It is that you do get 45 down, but it's being shared. It's like they're bringing water to you and they say you have 100 psi, but if you have 7 spigots along the way in your yard and everything, in the kitchen, it's not going to be 100 psi. Well, it shouldn't be anyway. But that's how it is. They bring you so much, and then, okay, so we're going to take some for this and some for this and some for this. So, but anyway, it didn't work out, and he was trying to fix it. He couldn't.
What didn't work out?
When I told him, I said, if you remember last week, I signed the papers for them to install 45 by 5, but because she said on the phone that they couldn't do that, the order was written for 6 by 1. And the rep said when the technician comes here, and that's why he asked for a senior technician to come out, he's going to see that he can do 45.5, and then everything is going to be okay. And I said, what if he can't? He said, then you don't owe us anything. So when he came, and I went out and I told him, I said, before you do anything, just make sure that you can do 45 by 5. He said, I can't do that. I said, what do you mean? He said, the order is written for 6 by 1. I cannot change it. I said, well, can you tell me if I can get it? He said, not really, because it has to be turned on in the central office and so forth. So, but he said, let me see what I can do. What?
They have to flick a switch.
Something about what they can and cannot do. And when he took about 25 minutes on the phone, and he came back and he told me, he said, I see where the problem is. It's your address. They have 2 different addresses. And but he tried to do a new order, and it was going to be like 120 some, 130 some. I said, no. So
don't confuse selling with reality. There's always a disconnect between the salesperson. No, I'm just I'm
no.
This is a critique. There's always this built in. They know that some percentage of the orders that they make from their phone calls and marketing aren't going to work out, and they just know that's going to happen.
But the woman on the phone who was writing the order was telling me, she said, I cannot change it. You need to get in touch with the person, with the rep that talked to you, and have them rewrite it. Don't shake your head. He came yesterday.
Oh no! I'm just saying that
he wrote it again.
At least somebody has a handle on how to do this.
Yeah, so he came in and he was giving all this kind of numbers about this promotion and that thing, and not only that, but instead of $65 a month for the phone and 45 by 5, which we agreed last week, she was saying, this week I have the promotion, something, blah, 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 and it came to $61.95. So I said, I'm not arguing. The only thing that was different is he told her about the static IPs, and the static IPs that he told me last week was for 8 of them. She said, well, I'm going to put in that you get static IP, but how many and how it's going to work, you're going to have to call customer support after we install it and see.
How does anybody get this service installed inside their house? How can nobody help you with anything?
I know it is.
No wonder nobody's using Uverse.
Let me tell you something.
Trying to get away from Time Warner, and you've got to call 600 different departments to get your freaking internet installed.
And the technician, I mean, he was not shy about it. He said, "This is us. We don't know. I mean, I do one thing, and another technician will do another thing." I said, "Aren't you all guys getting your information from the same database? How can one say one thing and another one say something else?" I mean, it's like you're working off of two different sources. He said, I know, this is AT&T. We're
Hey,
too big.
don't
We're
forget
too
the
big.
legacy.
What?
It's almost like they're not talking to each other, isn't it?
I know, but it's the same. It's the same company. You know, I mean, it's not like not talking to each other. They cannot make any decisions there. They call in and they talk to somebody at I have no idea where, who is writing it and who's saying, yeah, that's okay and that's fine and we can do this and all that. That person on the other side, I don't understand where they're getting their information from. It seems to me that if the girl yesterday, when he was talking to her and he gave her the address, it came right up and she said, yeah, we can do 45. Last week it was no, we cannot. I asked her, I said, do you have another 5421? And she said, just a second. She said, no, that's the only 5421 that I have. What is going on? You see, I'm saying, what the hell? Last week.
I wonder if, looking back, hindsight now, was it a good idea to break up the original AT&T? Would we be having these issues now had we not broken it up and then tried to reintegrate it back again?
Who knows?
Would it have been better?
Who knows?
Because I know that what companies went through, the Lucent, Avaya, AT&T story about how they had to divide up their databases and essentially what they did was they took mirrors and they let both companies run with the same mirror database, and then they adapted it to their own use. But it just never worked out because it wasn't built from scratch. It was just a copy of a copy of a copy.
I have no
put
idea.
Together to work. So who knows?
I don't know. But in these days of how everything is computerized and everything is on the internet, it seems like there will be one database sitting somewhere, and all these reps that make decisions in the office and write up the orders will get their information from the same place.
Yeah.
Even if it's not one database for the country, it can be one database for the Southeast, one database for North Carolina, one database for Raleigh.
Locally,
There's
it
gotta
should be because it was always under the control of one entity at every point.
Apparently, that's not how it is. And that's why they're getting different results every time they look it up.
Yeah, I had similar experience, although not as critical, with trying to get UVerse in my neighborhood and keep telling me it's available. Oh, yes, we had a work order to start your order, and then I get a call. Nope, it's not available. Well, you told me it was. No, well, and then I'd see the technician in the neighborhood, and he'd say, well, every single house has to be individually certified for the outside plant, and you might be the last link or the last connection from the terminal in your neighborhood right across the street from you might be perfectly fine, but the wire going under the road to your house is not.
Well, when the guy was here, he looked. I told him, there's the box right there. And the person that lives in the apartment right next to it got 45 by 5. And he looked at the box. He said, there's no reason why you will not get the highest speed possible. Because you can throw a rock and hit that box. And then he said, and you have enough wires coming to your house. I saw there are 3 cables coming in there. And I said, yeah, we used to have a bunch of phone numbers. He said, yeah, we can use these and isolate, and it will be perfect. I mean, everything is just ideal for the highest speed. He said, let me find out what. And that's when he found out that they didn't know all that kind of stuff. And it's just amazing to me that what a waste of their time, mine. And if I had to take off work and come here to sit here for 2 hours and not get anything installed and no solutions, and I mean, I would be really pissed. I would say, I don't want to deal with UVerse anymore. AT&T does not know what they're doing.
I don't understand how anybody could switch to that. How does that work?
I don't know. Well, I didn't switch yet. They're going to come on the 23rd or something like that, and
Wait,
install.
so wait, you might actually be switching. I'm very confused.
You're saying switching? No, I'm not switching. I'm adding.
Well, you're
for
adding.
now.
You just said it. You started this thing off saying, well, it didn't work out.
It didn't work out because I was going to have it installed last Tuesday, and I did not get it installed.
Oh,
That's what didn't
why
work
didn't
out.
you get it installed?
On the 24th, I think.
So you didn't get installed because they couldn't do the speeds you wanted?
Correct. I told them. I said, if you cannot do 45, I don't want anything from you. No.
So then how are they going to be able to do that in like 2 weeks?
Because they found that's the joke is that they can do it, but they have to write at the office. They have to write an order for 45 by 5, which
It takes them 2 weeks to write that?
No, she wrote it right there and then. Now when she got the right address, but last week when she wrote it, the address said no, there is no 45.5, so she couldn't write 45.5. That's the way they work.
I know what the problem is, Mike. I figured it out.
Tell me.
They're using Macs as their computers. That's the problem.
No. If they had Macs, they would never have this problem. They're using Windows computers, dummy.
No, they're using AMNON installed Windows 98 for them.
Yeah, that's right. They're using Windows 95, maybe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's
How can that happen in a company?
I told him. I said, "Boy, I've got something to criticize you this Sunday on the show." He said, "Look, I'm used to it. I mean, people are getting pissed at us all the time because of that exact thing, that they don't know what they're telling you."
I don't even know what to say to that.
I know.
I don't know what to say.
I know. But here, I mean, Marshall, my friend Marshall.
Marshall is?
My friend Marshall, who used to be the big kahuna on Computers 2K now years ago. He just moved. He had his office and warehouse in Wilson, North Carolina, where they
Which is how far from where you are? How far is that from where you are for people?
Oh, it's about an hour.
Okay.
But Wilson is one of those cities that when Time Warner could not deliver high speed, they did their own, and they have. You can get 100 by 100. That's green light, but only in the Wilson city limits. That was involving the municipality and all that. So he had great service for a long time, but he was growing, and he moved to Elm City, which is about 5 miles out of Wilson. And over there, he found out nobody has high speed, and he is looking. The what?
I said, "Oops."
Yeah. Looked all over. There's CenturyLink, which said no. But what he ended up is getting a T1, because that's the fastest thing that he could get there. And kept on trying to get some of the cable operators to get it. He finally got a word that Time Warner actually called him and said, "Hey, look, we can do 30 by 5 for you, and it's that much." He said, "Oh, really?" They said, "Yeah." When they were trying to write it up and everything, it came up to, we need to do a site survey because it doesn't look like we can. After the site survey came, they said, "Yes, we can, but it's going to cost you $40,000 to run the wire there." So, Of course, that went out the window.
So somebody I know recently just had to do that.
Well,
and it was like $150,000 to do it.
A month later, they call it.
That's reasonable.
A month later, they call and they said, "We can do a airdrop. It has to go over Highway 301, and it's a 4-lane highway. But apparently, there are some places where cables are coming across, So they say, yeah, we can bring it in the air and it won't cost you anything. He said, oh, go ahead, do it. A couple of days later, no, we can't do it. It's going to cost you $6,000. And they're going back, and this is the same reps that he's talking with at Time Warner business class.
Oh, well, that explains it. The Time Warner business class is BS. The prices are extremely expensive, and the service is awful.
Now, the price didn't bother him because it was going to be $490 some a month for internet and six phone lines. Right now,
that's not bad.
He's paying a little bit more than that for the T1 and 6 lines. So it's not bad. But he's still using a T1, obviously, because they cannot decide whether they can or they cannot do it. And that's Time Warner. So all of them have these problems. And they're plagued with the same kind of a virus, I guess. I don't know.
Well, you see my exhaustive research I did on what the AT&T database is based on?
Yes, I do.
This is the guy right here. Yeah, he takes them a while to update the records, so they've been working on it. They might hire an extra second guy. That's what they're saying.
I'm free.
So you need to know how to write in...
and you can tell he doesn't have any kind of communications around him. And that means they have to run over there and ask him the questions.
Sorry, I'm on break.
Yeah. So anyway, what else happened this week? Oh, let's see. Well, Kmart now has been hacked.
Who cares?
Well, I mean, the people that shop there care.
Are Kmart's still open?
Oh, yeah.
They just demolished the last 2 that were in Albany.
Really?
Yeah,
There's still one here in Raleigh that's open. It's actually one of the last ones. No, the Cary store closed, so it's one on Western Boulevard, right? I know it's still open.
All of the Kmart's are gone in Albany. The last one just got demolished yesterday. They just destroyed the building.
With people in it?
I wish it would have been with the people that go to that store, yeah.
He said that
there were no people in it.
On Thursday, October 9th, the IT team detected that its payment data system has been breached and the debit and credit card numbers appear to have been compromised. The company spokesman told Security Week that they are not able to provide a figure on the number of customers impacted. He also said that based on the forensic investigation to date, no personal information, no debit card PIN numbers, no email address, and no social security numbers were obtained by the attackers.
And if you like your plan, you can keep your plan.
I'd love to see how many people are part of the Kmart IT team. It's got to be like 5 people.
Well, I don't know. It's maybe that's why they don't want to say how many. Because it's going to be embarrassing.
I don't think we're going to know the full extent of the breaches out there. Every week is something new.
Yeah.
And I heard it was, what was it, Chase Manhattan Bank recently, and then not 2 weeks later, Citigroup. So it's like, you know what? They're all being hacked because they don't know what to answer. They don't know what they don't know. So it's not just a game anymore. It's big money for the people that do this.
So the closest Kmart is 50 minutes away. It's 34.8 miles. And it's in Vermont.
So you spoke about Netflix doing streaming and higher and all that.
Yeah, 4K, yes.
HBO.
Yes, that is a thing.
By now, everyone not living in total isolation knows that HBO has announced plans to offer content streaming in 2015 with no TV subscription requirements. Many wonder what took HBO so long to make this transition. Some speculate that the growing unpopularity of ISP giants has shifted bargaining power in HBO's favor. Others say that it's purely maths. There are more cord cutters and more people willing to shell out money for specific content, as evidenced by Netflix surpassing HBO in earnings this year, despite Netflix having a smaller customer base. Whatever the reason, all are expecting this development to induce more content providers to make their shows more readily available online. So they're doing it. And you're paying, I don't know, how much is HBO when you have a TV?
No clue.
Anybody knows?
No.
Nobody knows.
Doesn't it depend on the
It's
cable
probably
company?
more than $10, right?
Oh, for sure. Let's see. Wait, it's more than HBO. HBO's got like 100 channels on there.
Well, I think I read somewhere that it's going to be
I'm
five
looking.
something.
Premium TV channels. Because they don't sell just HBO. It's like I'm pretty sure they sell all of the premiums together. At least I'm pretty sure Time
Well-
Warner does. I'm looking at their website right now, and of course it's taking forever to load.
And
Let's
on
see.
the same-
HBO is $20 or $9.99 a month.
Okay, so $10.
Yeah, $10, and that's for 20 channels.
So I think I was reading that their streaming is going to be $5.95 a month. So anyway, look at it. It's cheaper.
I did not see that.
I
I saw much more. I saw 15. They won't do it for 5.
I don't know.
They've got
Just
all of their
stick-
backlogged content. They won't do it for 5. It's going to be at least 10.
Just kind of Google on it. But on the same subject, CBS just announced it's bringing more of its programming online with a new service called CBS All Access, which will net you full current seasons of 15 primetime shows. These episodes will be available the day after they air, in addition to past seasons of 8 of the shows. You'll also be getting thousands of episodes of old shows the company dubs CBS classics, such as Star Trek and CSI Miami. The app includes live streaming of local CBS TV in 14 major U.S. markets at launch. That's only when they launch it does that. CBS is
14
available
markets?
for free with an antenna, but this could come in handy if you like watching news or sports live without a TV or on the go, particularly given Arrow's downfall. So, and this was going to be kind of cheap too. I don't know why the price is not in any of these stories, but they're all seeing that going online is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm not finding the HBO price, but I can guarantee you it'll be more than $4.99.
Well,
It won't be worth their time to do it for less. I mean, imagine access to all of the HBO movies for $4.99. I mean, I don't think they'd be able to do it. But I could be wrong.
it was somewhere. Anyway. Where's Mike?
Sitting right here.
Comcast. Comcast wants a cable television license in Worcester, Massachusetts. In response, the city council voted 8-3 to urge Worcester city manager to let the company license request die. The deadline for the decision is Wednesday, but the manager is not bound by the vote of the council. It's a terrible company, City Councilor Gary Rosen said. In my opinion, they should not be welcome in this city. Comcast is a wolf in wolf's clothing. It's that bad. So the city council voted not to allow them in. I don't understand why there is city council if the manager is not bound by it. And why did they waste their time voting on it if they knew that it's not going to do anything?
The Worcester has Charter as their main cable slash TV provider. Charter Communications. So, hey, good. Somebody finally voting on the. Well, at least I'd hope somebody voting on this that has some knowledge of what's going on. It appears.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's the first step in the right direction. Problem is, you got a bunch of people voting on it now that have no clue what they're doing.
Yep, like they did here when they stopped municipalities from getting into the game.
Exactly.
Nothing is really going to change in a significant way until the next generation starts getting involved in politics, starts running for the city councils, and gets involved. I mean, these guys are voting on things they don't know what a megabit is.
Oh, that's the problem.
Well, it's when you see stories like that, it's kind of telling you, well, just like Nick said, somebody is doing something that that makes sense.
I've been reading a lot about, I like DSLreports.com. It's a great website. They've got some really smart alecks there, some smart people and some smart asses, but you can pick up some pretty good content. You can learn how to read your modem, for example. I'm looking at my modem now. They kind of read the logs and these things. They look at the firmware update version on the modems and all that garbage. And for example, they apparently are able to predict what or detect what upgrades may be going on in your cable system by looking at your signal page, for example, in your Motorola modem, and see the downstream and upstream channels that are bonded. If you don't know how, if you're on Time Warner, if you go to 192.168.100.1, that I believe is the universal IP address for your modem. It bypasses the router, goes straight to the modem.
Quick note about this though: if you go to that and make any changes, it will kick your internet off. So
I don't know that. What changes can you make? I don't have anything that I can change on mine.
but not on your well, on the old one, the Ubiquity or whatever it was.
The Ubi you could.
But that was on the router portion.
Yeah, but if on my Ubi, if I ever went into the admin panel and made any changes, it would kick me off the internet and then reboot. So just if anybody's going to sign into that, just
okay. So if you go to the IP address, don't change anything.
Exactly. Don't touch anything, or unless you want your modem to reboot.
But it would be good for each of you to now go to that IP address, and if you have the Motorola modem, look at the signal. And mine has 8 download channels and 1 upload. That's referred to in DSL reports as 8x1. And I don't know what that means. I know a lot of people have 4x1, 4x2, 8x4. 8x4 is supposedly what you need for the new Max service, indicating that either we're not upgraded here or we're not getting it here.
So if you go to Signal, you see 8 channel IDs for downstream.
Yep.
As do I.
How many up though?
Up, just 2.
I have 1.
I've got 7 and 9 up.
What do you mean? The ID doesn't matter. It's how many columns there are in the second chart.
There's 2. 7.
Mine has
7.
1.
Yeah. What ID?
I'm on channel 8.
How so? Oh, that's interesting. So then, what are your channel IDs for downstream? Does it go 1 through 8?
Yep.
So that means channel 8 is being shared for up and down.
No.
No?
No, because if you look at it, the frequency of 8 down is 621 and a bunch of zeros, and the channel 8 up is 37 and a bunch of zeros. They're different frequencies.
Mine is 194 and a bunch of zeros for my up.
Well, mine's better.
I don't know. Interesting though.
But they roll out the firmware upgrades to the modem even if you own your own modem. That doesn't change anything.
So you're not required to update this?
No, you can't.
Oh, now you know.
You can't update your own modem.
You can't update this surfboard?
No.
Why?
They do it for you because it's all proprietary.
Who does it? Time Warner?
Time Warner.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Motorola. I thought you were talking
No,
about firmware updates.
No. Their firmware updates are customized and they're rolled out by Time Warner.
Ah, interesting. Oh, that's why they have certain ones that
Approved.
work. Approved, yeah. Okay, cool.
And what you should do is reboot your modem if you're curious about this.
All right, I'm back.
Okay.
Not now, Nick.
Oh, crap.
If you're curious about this sort of thing, what you should do is reboot your modem once a week to see if any of these things change. Tim, what we're looking at here, Tim, let me ask first, are you on Time Warner? And if you are on Time Warner, are you using a Motorola modem? Because this information is available in all modems, but the only one that I'm familiar with is the Motorola because that's what's in front of me.
Is this safe to screen share?
People are screen sharing. The only thing I ever see blocked out is some configuration file, but I don't even see that on here. There's no IP address or anything on
Signal.
here.
Yeah, I'm going to share my Signal screen right here. Hold on.
All right, I'm looking at mine.
All right, Amnon, if you could put me on the big screen there.
You are.
Okay.
Let me just choose it so it will not kick you. Okay.
Okay. So this is what we're looking at for everybody that it's pretty hard to see on the stream, but this is what we're looking at if you've got the Motorola Surfboard modem.
And what you see on Nick's is the top row has 8 columns.
It does, yes.
Yeah.
Of data. The second table, the bottom table, has 2 columns. So Nick's modem is configured for 8 by 2. Mine looks exactly the same, except I'm 8 and 1. What are you, Amnon?
I see 2 columns at the bottom and 8 at the top. But the funny thing is it starts with channel ID 5 and then 1, 2, 3.
Now, Mike, I know something interesting. You have a different modem than Amnon and I do.
Which one do you have, Amnon?
I've got the one you told me to get.
6141.
Yeah.
That's one I have.
Oh, I thought you bought like there's a higher end one. I thought you bought that one.
That's what I would buy
No,
next.
no.
Oh, okay. Hold on, let me see which one I have.
It's something like a 6543 or something of that nature.
So
I've
I
got
don't
the
know.
6141 as well, the
Mike,
white one.
So that means 8 by 2 because there are 2 columns at the lower table, at the
Correct.
one in the middle.
Yep.
But it's interesting because
But
I have
there's
2 channels at the bottom, but one of those channel IDs at the bottom is the same as the channel values at the top.
But is the frequency the same?
It is not.
Then it's not the same channel.
Okay.
But
That's
Mike,
channel 8
the
upstream.
the 2 columns there, one of them is just the name of that field.
That doesn't count.
No, then I only have 1.
Right.
So that's something that's
Look
different.
at Nick's. We said Nick's bottom was 2.
Oh yeah, he's got 2. That's right. No, I have 1. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, the label doesn't count. It's
Okay.
the columns that have data in them.
So now, what are your frequencies? Is your one frequency higher than?
In which?
Look at this though.
In which?
Well, you only have 1 for your upstream.
Oh, well, the frequency is 306.00000.
It's interesting.
The frequencies are irrelevant as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm just.
What is relevant, Mike?
I don't know if any of this stuff is relevant.
Well, it has to do with and I don't know what the numbers are. Maybe someone else here does. Maybe John knows, but the number of bonded channels has to do with how big the pipe can be coming to your house or leaving your house. If you only have one upstream channel, there is a transfer rate limitation on that channel, meaning that you probably can't go to 20 megabits up if you only have 1 channel.
So that's when we will have to get another modem if they.
No, they're going to roll out a firmware upgrade. Even it's already happened. A guy in Durham got his last week.
Oh.
He rolled out. It went 8x4.
All right, here we go. So there's this interesting thing, the symbol rate on the up speed that people are talking about.
But at least one channel is good for at least 5 megabits up. We know that.
Yeah, so this is interesting. So they're saying that if your MSYM-S, which is in your upstream table, is 2560,
Mine is.
that's good for around 10 megabits.
See?
So I've got one that's that, but I've also got one that's like 5 something. So does that mean that that means I could probably handle like 30 megs up.
I don't think it goes over 20 at that rate. But the point is that when they're going to roll out, there's no point in them rolling out the firmware if the infrastructure will not handle the data rate.
True.
So what happens is, if and when they ever decide to upgrade the service around here, you will come in and you have to reboot the modem. Now, in some cases, they may be remotely rebooting it for you. But what I would suggest is, particularly since you can reboot or restart the modem from within the 100.1, the easiest thing to do is to reboot it by clicking on Restart Cable Modem on, I forget, the help page or one of those.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But just periodically do it. Just if you're curious. If you're not curious, don't worry about it. But also, there's some discussion that there's going to be a free speed upgrade. But several people on DSL reports are reporting that if you have 30x5, you don't get it upgraded to 10 or 20. That you have to have the 50x5 to get the speed increase.
But you can only get the 50x5 by having Signature Home.
Not here. That used to be the case when they rolled it out and nobody bought it. So they
Has that changed? Let me check my area.
Yeah, around here you just pay an extra $10, I think, and get it. But who would?
Well, if the up speed changes, I'd contemplate an extra $10.
If it went from 5 to 20, I would probably pay another $20.
Well, an extra 20 or an extra now. So what for? All right, so let's say you could get 50x10. How much would you pay? $5, $10, or you're not interested?
Probably not interested.
So, Nick, you were talking about that MSYM.
Yeah.
And what number did you have?
Two something.
560.
Yeah, 2.56.
Well, mine's the symbol rate, right?
Yeah.
Mine says 5.120 MSIM.
See, I've got one of those, and then I've also got one of the other ones. It's interesting.
Just remember, and the problems you have dealing with this company, just remember how well they operate and understand why there are so many inconsistencies across the entire network.
Yeah.
Left hand has no clue what the right hand is doing.
All right, yeah, Mike. So they do offer the Ultimate as a standalone plan now.
Yeah.
And it is an extra $10, which is idiotic for just 20 more megs down.
I think the left hand's not even attached to the same body the right hand is.
Well, there's certainly a nerve block between there and the brain material.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I don't, Mike. I think you're right. I don't think I'd do it for $10.
No, why would you? A lot of people who have the 50x5
have the Signature Home.
They don't even get sustained throughput at the 50.
Stephen Haywood has the 50x5, but that's because he's got the Signature Home, or whatever it is.
Denzel says he can't load the page. That's the right IP address.
Yeah, but only if he's got a Motorola
surfboard.
Yeah, that depends on that.
All right, I think we're. Am I done screen sharing? I think.
Yeah.
We've
Yes.
covered it. Okay. Well, that was interesting.
We'll see.
I am so sick of waiting for this, waiting for that. I just emotionally have to disconnect from it because you know what? You get the speed upgrade and it's great for about 3 days and then you forget about it.
Well, that might be your case.
Right.
But
No.
I could get added benefits with me uploading stuff to websites all the time and everything. I think I could get a pretty good use out of 10 megs up.
Well, but you could get good use out of 100 meg up.
Correct. But like I think you would be less likely to be in a better situation or whatever from having 10 megs up than I would be.
Why?
What are you doing where you're unless you're uploading larger files all the time. So then really for you it's just an added megabits.
To me, it's just. I mean, I hate to say it, but I would not be the driver for an upgrade within this area because they're overcharging for what they're doing. They're spoon feeding us, and I just don't like playing the game that way. I'm just too old, too fat, too tired to play the game that way. You know, they I don't know. They make me mad. I'd even go Uverse if I had to.
Oh, good luck getting it installed.
Actually, I have very good luck getting things installed, and I used to have AT&T DSL. In fact, I was probably one of the first 3 people to have DSL in my city, according to what they told me. I'd heard about it in advance. I got it installed. I mean, it was you just cannot imagine what it was like to be able to go to the computer the first time, open a browser, go straight to a website without having to dial into a modem. That what was the original download speed?
300?
Nah, it was faster than that.
1200, 2400, 33.6, 56.
No, on DSL.
Oh.
It was
128.
essentially
128.
1.5.
What?
The T1 speed.
No, it was
I
not.
don't
DSL
believe that
was 128.
May have been 640. Anyway, it was blazing fast.
Whoa, slow down. You're loading too quick.
I mean, I started getting dizzy. It was so fast. But now, I've been to some websites this week
Oh.
that as soon as you click on them, they might take as long as 5 or 10 seconds to open.
Was it Craig Digital Designs?
What?
Was it Craig Digital Designs?
Well, yeah.
Alright. Sorry.
And it was clearly the website. It was not the internet because I checked it at multiple places. And what good is a gigabit down if the websites are going to be slow to open?
I had an experience this week going to car manufacturers' websites where it was a long lag. You click between pages, and it took a long time for that page to load. And I said, this is not a good experience. People who are shopping for cars are not going to want to sit here and wait and wait and wait. I mean, even if it was just a few seconds, enough to annoy people and make them move on.
Yeah. Well, who knows?
Yep. Yeah. All right. Let's see what else there.
Instead of the consumers pushing the ISPs, it's going to eventually end up being the services that are pushing the ISPs. It's going to be the Netflixes and the HBOs and the Amazons that are saying, "Hey, we need more people to subscribe to our content, but they can't stream it on your network. So what are we going to do here?"
But again, in talking about what we have to have, when I was binging on Netflix about 3 months ago, these bandwidths and availabilities and all that had a lot more meaning to me than whenever I got over it. And now just for whatever I do, I'm just not going to stress out over it. It's not worth it.
Oh, of course, you shouldn't stress out over it, but it's going to be interesting to see who pushes who. Clearly, the consumers have no say in anything.
Well,
because they don't care. You call and complain, they don't care. They thank you and hang up. So it's going to have to be somebody.
Who's allowing that to happen, Nick?
The FCC.
Who's allowing that to happen?
Who's the head of the FCC? Some guy that used to run a cable company.
Keep going. The answer to the question is the voters. Until people say enough is enough and start voting on the issues that are important to them, they're going to take what's handed out to them. And that's not just internet issues. That's about everything.
Yeah. I wonder if a president could win an election by saying that, like a bandwidth thing. I wonder if that could be the stepping stone of his race.
No.
You don't think so?
No, because a lot of the kids who care about that sort of thing don't bother to vote.
True. He'd have my vote.
So there's one. But see, then Merle's going to kill your vote by voting Libertarian. So.
Yeah, Merle agrees.
Yes, we need a king. I thought we had one.
Oh, God.
The chances of an Ebola outbreak here in the United States are extremely low.
There you go.
So far, he's right.
No, I don't have time to be king. I'm too uninterested. I would be one of the problems, not one of the solutions. John doesn't want me being king either. We make John king.
Just a fact. Google Play downloads now exceed Apple App Store by 60%. But iOS apps still make more money.
Oh, darn.
Anybody surprised at that?
No.
Now, a little while ago, there was a story about Dropbox breach as far as passwords and account. It's interesting. Now, Dropbox is saying that it's not as bad as everybody thinks, but they still say to change your password.
Oh, they said that they weren't hacked because they weren't.
Right, they were not hacked.
They said their statement was it was a third party.
Yeah, third party.
Who was compromised, and the people posting the stuff said it was Dropbox. It was from Dropbox when in fact it was not.
Since what's their name? That Snapchat said it was a third party. Who was the first one to say this? I think it's them. No, it's the thing with the iCloud. With the celebrities. They say it was a third party that caused it. So now everybody's going to say, "Oh, it's a third party that did it."
Well, no, they're not saying it's a third party. Netflix is saying it's a totally different service.
Oh,
I'm sorry, not Netflix. Dropbox.
Dropbox.
Yeah, no, the third party thing I don't agree with. But the whole it being a different service kind of makes sense.
Oh, thanks, Andrew.
You've got to have a positive attitude. Adam.
And we're done. It's gonna be. I don't know. I mean, who do you believe? Do you believe Dropbox?
Well,
how do you know?
it doesn't matter. What's the difference? I mean, you can believe one or the other. Bottom line is you have to take care of your own business in your own way.
But are they lying? I'd hope to God they're not lying. I've got.
We all hope
not
that
sensitive
not
information, but I've got information I wouldn't want leaked out on Dropbox. No. I upload business stuff there, and I wouldn't want any of that stuff being able to be taken by somebody. I don't know about anybody else. I mean, especially with backing up of pictures, that's a pretty serious thing.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it is. And people
And
still.
you're saying the celebrity leak is not third party.
Yeah.
The Snapchat thing was because it was a separate app, and this Dropbox thing, they're claiming it was another service that got leaked, and that the people that got the information tried spitting it off as they hacked Dropbox, when in fact they did not. Now, quick thing to note here, Dropbox does offer two-factor authentication, so if Dropbox gets compromised, it is your own fault. They've got two-factor authentication in place, and this is all these services need to do, and then I will be done and I will stop complaining. But once if they offer two-factor authentication and you don't have it in place, then that's your own problem. You have to go the extra mile, and unfortunately, I don't want to do the two-factor authentication. I'm putting my data at risk.
Absolutely.
Because it's just such a pain in the.
It is. That's why
neck
not many people use it.
Yeah.
I did play around with OneBox. I think that's the name of it, the Microsoft freebie last week.
SkyDrive? Oh, yeah, OneBox.
I think it's OneBox, and
yeah,
from what I can tell, there is some sort of an app or something that allows you to upload directly to it without having to go through the website, as I recall. So for a free tertiary backup, you might want to do that. I uploaded a bunch of pictures there that hopefully I'll never need.
Here's something else that has to do with the services. With Amazon Web Services losing an estimated $2 billion a year, it's not inconceivable that the cloud industry could go the way of storage service providers. Now, I know I'm getting old, but they said, remember them? I mean, what is storage service providers that went out of business? Anybody remembers?
That was there was a term for it. I'm trying to remember what it was now, but it was a carrier-based offering.
Anyway, so they said any plan for cloud services must include a way to retrieve your data quickly in case your cloud service provider goes belly up without much notice. And it says, think Nirvanix. In an article at Enterprise Storage Forum, Henry Newman notes that recovering your data from the cloud quickly is a lot harder than you might think. Even if you have a dedicated OC192 channel, it could take 11 days to move a petabyte of data. And that's with no contention or other latency. One possible solution, a failover agreement with a second cloud provider and make sure it's legally binding. Legally binding as far as what? Mike, you jump in here.
Terms of service?
Terms of service, but if they go belly up, then what?
There are no binding terms of service if the company goes belly up.
Well, they guarantee you'll have 1 hour to get down there and retrieve your data from their servers before they shut the place down.
It's a lot of these extended warranty companies will, for $3, will sell you a warranty for life, and then 2 years later they go belly up.
Right. So I was thinking, with the availability of NAS drives and other devices, why would I want a cloud service somewhere else when I can put one on my own network?
The NAS is a pain in the butt to set up.
It doesn't. They're expensive. Well, not for backing up. It's not.
It depends. What depends what you're backing up.
And what if your house burns down?
I agree.
I've been trying to get my boss to move to a NAS. He's a wedding photographer.
Yeah.
He needs so much. He's gonna have to buy new 2 terabyte hard drives every few weeks. He's gonna fill it all up. I mean, he takes hundreds of gigs worth of photos every weekend. What is his backup solution? The NAS is not a practical option because he's gonna have a closet full of hard drives. And if that's the case, you might as well not even be backing anything up.
I don't know. I mean, it's a backup, and a backup, you don't care how long it's going to take, as long as you have a backup.
He's doing backups now, but the NAS is just. I get what you're saying, but the NAS I don't think the NAS is the option for everybody. Works, I think, if you're just backing up files and a few pictures, maybe some documents.
Well, yeah, it will not be the right thing for a big corporation that has hundreds or thousands of employees to back their stuff to.
Well, not even if you don't have 100, even if you don't have that many employees. It depends what kind of data you're moving. If you're moving large video files, screw a NAS.
That's true too, yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to wait 6.5 hours for a video file to back up?
Hey, Steve.
Oh.
Do you back up your music?
I have my music backed up onto 3 drives. I've got a drive at my father's place. I've got a drive which is one of these personal hard drives, a little USB 3, 1 terabyte with the music on, and it's also on the NAS.
Hey, Mike, as far as maybe your house will burn down?
Yep.
It's real cheap to take about 30 or 40 bricks and go and build a cube of 2 by 2 outside somewhere and just run a cable into it. Nothing would ever happen to it.
It's even easier to subscribe to Carbonite or to do what Steve's doing, and that is to take a hard drive off premises.
Yeah, no, I hope you're joking about that brick thing outside.
Why not? No, I'm not joking.
Well, I don't know where you live, but there's this great thing called winter.
Yeah.
And that thing is not going to survive in negative 15 degrees.
It doesn't need to survive in negative. You see, you're on city water. A lot of people have wells and pumps that are above ground. All you do is you put a light bulb in there, a little 40-watt light bulb.
Or you just back up to Carbonite.
Yeah, no. I'm not saying do that only. But I mean, if I had to do it, Mike is absolutely right, because what if something happened and your house burned down, or the room where your equipment is burns down?
Well, there's also fireproof safes you could get as well.
Yeah, but then when it's a safe, you can't run wires into it. That's the thing. It's sealed.
You could run wires into it.
I don't know.
Are we really talking about putting a hard drive in a well?
That's what AMNON thinks is the best solution.
No, that's what they do
And
here.
back it up on the cloud.
That's what they do here for wells that are above ground. The pump is above ground.
Amnon, I got a question for you. Why do you dislike the cloud?
Why I don't like the cloud?
Yeah, why do you dislike it?
I'm not saying I don't like the cloud. I'm saying because of all these problems, it seems like, I mean,
what problems are we talking about? Are we talking, what kind of issues are we talking
about? Them going belly up, or about them crashing or whatever, and you lose your...
That article that you were reading, it's generally for large companies that do massive data transfers, and they're using, smaller companies.
Yeah.
For their storage. I would never use a unknown company. If I'm a massive company, I'm doing Amazon Drive, Amazon's storage, or I'm doing Google storage. Google and Amazon and Microsoft, or Azure with Microsoft. They're not going to shut down their servers and say, well, sorry, guys, you can't get your information. We're done. If I'm a major company, I'm going to go to a reliable source. Now, for the everyday user, again, OneDrive, Google storage, Amazon storage, Dropbox, these are services that are not going away anytime soon.
Well, the whole... Go ahead.
More than, and you know what, if you're that concerned that someone's going to be able to hack your account and get their information, Passport encrypt the files and back it up.
Mm-hmm.
And save it that way so nobody else could access it. Even if they get it, they're not going to be able to do anything with it. I understand that we need to be a little bit I understand the paranoia when it comes to it because you don't know who's going to be able to access it, but the odds are you are not going to be targeted individually for this, and if you are, it's someone that you know.
Well, that whole story was about the fact that Amazon Web Services is losing an estimated $2 billion a year, and
You don't know that their business model might be to run it as a loss leader because of other things that make up for it.
well,
I mean, Amazon loses money every quarter. They're losing money. Amazon has not. I mean, they're making money, but they haven't shown a profit yet.
mhm.
They lose
Well-
money all the time. I don't think it's. I think we need to be a little fair and not convince people that.
No. You misunderstood what I was saying. I mean, I'm still going to use carbonite, and I'm still and there's nothing wrong about using other places, but also, I mean, because if you have to go and get your data, and it's not there, you need to have it in more than one place.
100% right. I don't agree with just putting it on the cloud. So
Yeah.
what kind of data are we talking about? Now let's break down the data. What kind of data are we talking about?
That's the big thing right there. It's different for everybody.
Okay, so are we talking about pictures, right?
How many pictures?
Let's talk about a lot of pictures. Let's talk about you snap away pictures of AMNON's well with his hard drive in it.
Yeah, but this is all depending. Are you taking these with your phone?
Mike takes pictures of his solder points, the whole thing.
But again, Andrew, are you taking pictures with your phone, or are you taking pictures with a DSLR when you're shooting in RAW? That's a big deal.
Let's talk about both. So if you take it with your phone, if you're using an Android phone, it will automatically back it up to your cloud, to your Google Drive, to your Google Plus account. It's not available to anybody, only you, but that's already backed up. If you feel that that's not where you want to put it, you can put it on Flickr. You could just transfer everything to Flickr. You could set it up on your phone to automatically upload to Flickr. If you have a DSLR, I would recommend using Flickr as a service to upload your photos. You can even upload it to Google, your Google Plus account, and keep everything stored there.
Yeah, people forget about Flickr. Flickr's a good thing. You get a terabyte of free imaging.
Yeah, so there's a lot of solutions for photos. For music, it gets a little trickier. Where are you going to upload your music? You could do Dropbox, or you could do iTunes Match like I do, or you could do Amazon, or you could do Google, so you have a lot of options for that. If it's your personal information we're talking about, like banking information, where things are located, I don't recommend backing that up on the cloud at all. I recommend having that in 2 or 3 separate locations, maybe on a separate hard drive somewhere, and on 2 SD drives.
It's interesting. It all depends on your pro. What about video? Good luck. What if you're editing? What if you're editing video? I mean, you've got. Andrew, you would know. I mean, you're dealing with large amounts of video. What do you do for backups? You can't do it on the cloud.
You can't do a cloud. The only cloud backup is the source that you're uploading it to, like YouTube, Dailymotion, the server. That's your cloud backup, and that's
That's about it.
That's about it.
And you've got great internet too, and you're still. What, are you gonna wait 4.5 hours for a show to upload?
Not the uploading for me. That's the problem. It's the storage. Who's gonna offer me storage for a 2 gigabyte video?
I mean, unless you're paying, nobody's going to offer it.
Yeah, and be affordable. Nobody. I mean, that's just how it works. It's very expensive.
And the only thing I could think of is like Amazon's, their Glacier storage or whatever, but that's not free.
The average person will be fine with cloud storage. That's going to be okay. They're going to be perfectly happy with it. They're not even going to know that it's in the cloud.
Yeah.
Well, the thing though is that with the average person, has a lot to lose if they lose their pictures. I mean, older people taking pictures. I mean, it's pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have the physical pictures anymore in your hand. It's all digital. So you have to have it in a place where it's safe and where they can go and get it. And you got to do it in 2 different places. I got to.
How are you? Are you talking about your phone, your camera pictures? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
You're talking about a
yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
So if it's your phone and you have an iPhone, it automatically saves it to iCloud. So no matter if you lose your phone, if you break your phone, it'll always be in iCloud. If you have a Google phone, an Android phone, it automatically backs it up to Google Plus. So that'll always be there as well.
Right. So getting service. I mean, people take it off the phone and put it on the computer too, to print or something. And you want.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, now it's all readily available.
Yeah.
You can do that all in one shot. I mean, it's very easy to do that now.
But there's other services too. Like Andrew, talking about music. There's a lot of people that don't even own their music. They're paying for Spotify.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you don't even own your music.
Spotify. My generation is still buying music.
Yeah, see, mine is not. I so many people. I'll be sitting with a friend or something, and they have an earbud in, and they unlock their phone and they go. What are they doing? They're listening to a playlist on Spotify. They're in school. They sit down at a computer. What do? They go to the Spotify web app. They throw an earbud in. They're listening to the Spotify. They don't own any music.
You know, last week on the show you said something interesting. Where you were talking about the differences in mentality between computer users. AMNON, Mike, Spence. I don't know if I want to put you in the group with the old fuddy-duddy. Sorry. They have a different mentality when it comes to computing. I'm somewhere in the middle. I'm still hanging on to that. I'm gripping onto it. We talk about it on What the Tech all the time, where the first thing I do after I finish installing everything on my computer, I go to msconfig and I turn off all the stuff at startup, and then I go into the services section in the admin controls, and then I turn off things like tablet, printer, fax. I turn all that stuff off still. Why? Because that's what was taught to me 15 years ago. I still do that. I still hoard data. But you, Nick, you come from a different generation. You don't give two craps about that stuff, and you're not hoarding any kind of data. I know, Mike, you've said it before. You have a difficult time letting go of certain things.
Oh, big time. I'm a data hoarder.
I am too. You know what made me stop doing that? It actually was a blessing and a travesty. A couple years ago.
Crash.
Yep. I was really careful with my hard drives. I was really one of these paranoid people that didn't believe in any cloud backup. This is probably 2000 and Vista had come out. So when was this? 2006? And when did Vista come out?
When's what?
Vista. When did Vista come out?
Oh, sheesh.
2004?
Probably five years ago.
Okay, so let's say 2005. I built a brand new computer. I got 2 brand new hard drives. I rated it, and I had a backup, external backup. Had all my data there. The external backup died on me, just totally died. A week after, before I was able to replace that drive, my RAID collapsed because the controllers on the motherboard, something happened to the controllers on the motherboard, causing the RAID to crash, causing me to lose all the data. I know there are ways to kind of rebuild the RAID and do that, but at that time, I had no idea that I could do that, and I lost years of photos, videos, everything, emails, voicemails, everything. That caused me to think of another solution and not start hoarding this data the way that I was doing. So I just started putting everything on the cloud. That's the only way to do it.
Well,
and more than one location, preferably.
Absolutely. So the way that I do my cloud backups, I have different cloud backups for different things. Obviously, like my photos, it's all on Google. I keep all my photos on Google and Flickr. So I back up on both places. I have a private Flickr profile, and I back everything up there, and I back everything up on Google. So it's redundant. Dropbox is my business stuff, documents, stuff like that. And then I keep everything on a backup drive as well, and it's disconnected and sitting in a corner somewhere.
you see, that's the whole idea, is to just make sure that you're backing up to more than one place and as creative as you want to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's no one place you should have everything.
Yeah.
I mean, OneDrive, Mike said, OneDrive is offering 15 gigs now. I think even 25. I thought it was 25 gigs, but OneDrive is a amazing service. It's great. The same goes for our iCloud Drive. They offer now, Apple's doing iCloud Drive.
No? All right.
It's amazing how we regress when it comes to hard drive sizes, right, Amnon? I mean, think about it. A couple of years ago, we were all fighting for, we wanted 4 terabyte drives. You know, we wanted 2 terabyte drives. I don't own a hard drive over 1 gig now. All my laptops have 256 hard drives, and I'm nowhere near capacity.
I don't know anybody that uses a terabyte on their machine, unless you really hoard.
I mean, but before, that's what it was, right? Bigger the better.
Yeah, sure.
And that's not necessarily.
And
so I have a question for you, Amnon, and I have a question for all of you. The bigger the drive, does it still stand? The bigger the drive, the more unstable it is.
Correct.
Is that still valid? That's what
It is still valid because all they're doing is they are encoding it in a different way and compressing it more and compressing it more. It's the same number of platters. Now, not from 100 meg or 100 meg or 100 gig to 4 terabytes. There's probably different platters, but those in a 2.5, I don't think you can fit more than 1 platter, maybe 2. On the 3.5, I've seen them with 3 platters, but I've seen many of them with 1. And it's just more, it's compressed more on the drive. Now,
yeah, I would rather have 2 500s than 1 terabyte.
You what? You would not?
I would rather have 2 500,
right.
2 500 gig drives and use both of those than to have 1 terabyte drive.
I agree 100%. Agree 100%.
I was having this discussion and someone said, well, yeah, that's how it used to be, but these hard drives now are so stable and they're much better hard drives so they don't die, so that doesn't exist anymore, the fact that the bigger you go, the more unstable it gets. But I don't think, you know what, I don't stand by that. Maybe it's an old school thing, but I would rather the smaller drives seem far more stable than the bigger drives.
I think for a backup drive, it doesn't matter if you're only using it as a backup drive that's put on when you're doing the backup, or unfortunately if you're doing a restore. I mean, you can have a terabyte drive and not worry too much about it because it's not constantly spinning.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is also
no. For a backup drive, yeah.
The one thing here that the principle of the bigger they are, the harder they fall. If you put everything on one drive and that drive crashes, you lost everything.
Yeah, eggs in one basket is the same thing, isn't it? But you're looking at 4 terabyte and 6 terabyte drives now. I wouldn't want to take a chance on that, no matter how secure and safe they say they are. I'll stick with a 1 and a 2 terabyte and use it only for backup. When I'm doing a backup, it'll be switched on, and it's.
You know what I would do, Steve? I mean, those red drives are, really well done. I would get like a 4 terabyte red.
Yeah, they seem to be okay. Have you seen the new black from Western Digital? It's got a 120 gigabyte SSD drive with it as well. That looks like a great drive for balance. It's a 1 terabyte with 120 gigabyte SSD. Sounds like a great combination, but it's still early days yet. But they're £150 over here.
Is that the hybrid drives? The black.
Yeah, the hybrid. It's not an 8 gigabit like the Toshiba and the Seagate is. It's the first one with a 120 gigabit SSD and then a terabyte drive as well. Sounds like an ideal combination.
So I guess what it's doing, because it has one SATA controller on it, so I guess it's allocating. It's already partitioned and it's saying, okay, well, this is your operating system. This is where you're going to install it, and everything else goes into this one.
Yeah, it's designed as a boot drive as 120, and then your storage drive is a 1 terabyte. I think that's probably the way it's going to go. Western Digital, the first one to bring one out with a decent size SSD. The other ones, it's primarily a cache, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember reading an article, and I just found it again back in September, about hard drive reliability, and we keep going back and forth apparently between different manufacturers, where we thought that Seagate was the best for a while, then we thought it was Western Digital, but now it turns out it's HGST.
Hitachi.
Yeah, is the best, where we used to look at Hitachi's, oh, that's junk.
That's
Yeah.
still.
I always thought Hitachi was really good. I would just stay away from any laptop that had a Toshiba drive. I would immediately get rid of.
Yeah, I remember Toshiba being pretty poor, but a lot of Toshiba stuff, they were in some kind of a partnership with IBM for a while, I thought.
I had the best thing that ever happened to me. I bought a Toshiba laptop in 2002, and the thing was a piece of junk, and it would just overheat and die on me. There was a class action lawsuit against Toshiba because they sold this thing with tremendous problems. So part of the class action lawsuit was that you could either get a new laptop worth up to $2,500, or they'll give you $1,000 back. So I took the laptop because I needed one. So I got the laptop, and that also had a class action lawsuit. And they gave me a third Toshiba laptop. And that, I don't know if that was a class action, but that was a piece of junk also. In a matter of 4 years, every 2 years, I would get a letter saying that I qualify for the class action, and I would opt in. And I would get a brand new laptop from Toshiba. They were catching on fire. I mean, they were doing some really bad stuff.
It's funny, my first personal purchase of a laptop was a Toshiba machine, and I got close to 4 years out of it and had no problems. Granted, it wasn't a very exotic machine, but finally went on it.
But think about this. I'm sure now these things are pretty solid, right? At the end of the day, they're all built the same. They're all using the same components. But I would never buy the brand again because I've had 3 bad experiences with it. I mean, they're probably building some really nice machines now.
I bought the cheapest entry-level laptop I could find for my uncle, and set it up for him and sent it to him, and it was a Toshiba, and I wound up getting a markdown, brand new machine, open box from Staples. I think I paid $180 for it, and it's been in service over a year, and very simple machine, but does exactly what they need, and I found it with Windows 7, which was great. So, knock on wood if I can find some wood here.
Has anyone here had any experience with that HP laptop that's like under $200, the Windows laptop?
I don't think that's something.
Was it made by HP?
Yeah, so this is their Chromebook competitor for Microsoft.
Right.
Where it's under $200.
Yeah, I think it's just coming out now.
Yeah, I think it's called. I'm trying to find the name. I can't think of the name.
I've only read about it. I've not heard of anyone that's got one.
No, me neither.
It's still too new, I think.
We're at an interesting time, guys, when it comes to computing because we have so many options, and there's really not one solution for the future of what the desktop is going to be like, what the laptop is going to be like.
Okay, Andrew.
Yes, sir.
I went to check my iPhone to check iCloud backup because of the comment you made about everything automatically being backed up to the cloud.
Uh-huh.
So I go into my settings on iCloud and discover that when I go down to the storage and backup, that iCloud backup is turned off.
You probably turned that off.
Well, I did, so I turned it back on, and then it said, sorry, we can't back this phone up because you don't have enough space on your iCloud storage, which is 5 gigabytes.
Okay, so that's a problem for you.
Well, it's not a problem. I'm just not going to use it. If it still backs up to a local drive, if we connect it with the cable to a local drive.
You could get the 20 gigs. So you got to see, do you think you have 5 gigs of photos on your iPhone?
Apparently.
Well, you may not have that. You may have a lot of stuff on your iCloud already because every time you back up your phone, it creates a backup file. So you got to see how many backups you have on your iCloud.
I'm looking at I'm logged into iCloud on the computer, and it says there are no devices connected, and I have 5 of 5 gigabytes available.
Yeah. So let me see here. So you probably have more than 5 gigs of data. So what I would do if I was you, I would install Google Plus on your phone and enable Google Plus to automatically upload your photos to the cloud.
Wow.
That's how I would do it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that HP machine is called the HP Stream 14.
That's it. HP Stream.
And they said it literally is this hard to tell the difference between that and the HP's Chromebook 14, so it's probably the same hardware.
So it's a 14-inch
14-inch.
laptop.
14-inch. It's got 2 gig of memory, 1366 by 768 display, 32 or 64 gig of RAM, of storage, I should say, 2 gig of RAM, and an SD card slot, and that's it.
I mean, it looks pretty good. $299, you're getting, I mean,
$199.
$199.
Yep.
Surfing laptop, you want to connect to the net and do stuff with, it's fine, isn't it?
You got 300 gigs of storage. Yeah, Mike, I would, if that's the case and you have too many photos, I would do Google Backup.
Well, with regard to data hoarding, let me tell you why this is a problem for me and what happened. We owned a radio station from 1962 until 1984, and unfortunately, in those days, quality backups, quality copies of those things were challenging. The only way you could get a decent quality audio was using a reel-to-reel tape. And a lot of things that we did at the time were not that big of a deal. So in one case, we would make copies of what was going on over the air over a cassette tape. Realizing many years later that those, in fact, are the only copies of things that I have, I bought a Nakamichi Dragon cassette player, which is a $1,500 cassette machine, because it turns out that even cheap cassette recorders record better quality on cassette tape than they are able to play back. And that has been my experience as well. Well, yesterday I was going through actually trying to clean up some things, and I found a stack of 5 cassette tapes that it's made 4 or 5 that were made on January 2nd, 1982. They were recorded in our radio station as the station was doing its 20th year anniversary program. And I've only listened to 2 of them so far, and the primary host was my father. And what was interesting about it is apparently, and it's been 32 years ago now, so I don't remember a lot of it. I was there when it happened. Apparently I was in the studio because they keep complaining that I keep pushing them to keep it tight. But we went back, as it turns out, and did a lot of searching through archives and found a bunch of things from the early 60s. We got up with a bunch of people who were involved with the radio station over the years, and I have to tell you, you just don't know what it's like to find something like that. It is the most, there's nothing else out there where my father speaks as much as he does that day on the air. And being an old timer like I am now, he repeats himself. So things that he covers, he talks about how he started the radio station, what happened that caused him to do it, how the consultant came over to our house. I mean, all sorts of things that I've forgotten about over the years. In other words, I'm going through and I'm doing a complete restoration of that. Some of the, unfortunately, tape number 2, the playback speed is very wrong. Apparently the recorder was dragging whenever it was recording, so it's about, I'm going to guess, 10-15% Donald Duck. But as it turns out, and what I'm going to be playing with today is, because of all of the tools available now, I can actually go in and modify the speed and pitch and probably restore it pretty much back to normal. and that's going to be an interesting thing. Then I'm going to post it on Facebook because I'm from Laurinburg, North Carolina. There's a page, I guess it's a page on Facebook where some people are posting historical photographs, things that we remember from way back when. And what's interesting is that because it was such a small town that the advertisers were local merchants primarily, a lot of the people in that Laurinburg group on Facebook, their kids and grandkids are participating there. So it may be the only recording they have of one of their father or grandfather. It's going to be interesting. I mean, I guess it's hard to explain, but last night at midnight, I was so moved by what I heard that it was very difficult for me to go to sleep.
That's amazing to have a piece like that, you know?
So we'll see how it goes. It's part of it is I've been putting off transferring, putting it off because I have this hopefully irrational fear that when I put on a tape to play it, it's not going to play. And that's actually not an irrational fear because many of the reel-to-reel tapes from the 70s will not play because of a bad formulation of oxide. And the reel-to-reel tape machines, I have one here that I paid a guy to restore, and he did a crappy job on it. And I'm actually going to ship it to a guy up in Illinois who's going to rebuild it. It'll cost me a fortune. But I've got so many reel-to-reel tapes that have so much history on them that they need to be transferred. The best machine to do it, you can buy one reconditioned right now, but it's $10,000.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
It's an Ampex ATR 102.
Wow.
But it's, guys, I got to tell you, and for what it's worth, look around, and if you find a bunch of old cassette tapes and things lying around the house, don't just throw them out. Check them out, and if you can't play them, I have the ability to do some pretty extraordinary captures of the data. It's a long story, but it's a lot of work, and you got to know what you're doing sometimes. And I'm not 100% successful, but I'm high 90s. So
I need to go in the attic and find my reel-to-reel. It's probably not working.
no, if it hasn't been turned on in 5 years, the belts are dry rotted.
Yeah.
So what are they doing with all these old? Do you think these stations are all archiving everything that they had on reels?
No.
They're just letting it die.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. In fact, one of the things that really upset me last night was, you know, we all in our group, we a lot of us like jingles, and that we were listening to our jingles that were done back in the early '60s, and I don't know how. It doesn't make any sense to me how we sold the radio station in 1984 and I let those jingles get away. I have no idea where they are. The people who bought the station probably came in, found these old reel-to-reel tapes and threw them in the trash can. So.
How about
But
carts? What's the lifespan on the carts?
On what?
Carts.
Cart machine?
Yeah.
Well, the tape actually will last many, 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 many years. The problem is, what are you going to play them on? And there's some Facebook groups where guys are going out and actually restoring cart machines and things like that. The problem, I mean, I can take a cart machine and make it sing, but that's only if parts are available. I used to rebuild cart machines for a living as part of one of the things that I do. And but generally speaking, though, carts, whatever you had on a cart was usually copied from a reel-to-reel. You did all of the work on a reel-to-reel, then dubbed it to cart, and then you raced the reel-to-reel. But I have to say that even listening back to this 1982, and I'll post it, and you guys will get to hear it at some point. And when I'm listening to it, I'm thinking about Nick and Andrew listening to it and laughing and giggling about how old and corny things were. But it was 32 years ago. Things were very different back then. It seemed very normal to us back then. And I have to tell you guys, I'm quite proud of what we did with that little tiny radio station, considering what else was going on. And And if you go back and listen to some of the YouTube videos of the things from even the bigger market stations and listen to the way this radio station sounded back in '82, it's pretty good.
Amnon, do you still have some of the old bumper music, the stuff that was on the carts
No.
from the Buzz? No.
I mean, I have it. I
That'd
have
be
it.
funny.
in
Oh, you have the recordings, though, right? Some of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be fun to listen to that stuff, even though it's, gosh, it's got to be what? When did I start on the show? When was it? 1990 what?
Probably about 96, 97.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Hey, Mike, there's a bunch of cart machines on eBay. Cheap. Less than $100.
Pass.
Well, I'm just saying.
You can take the tape out of a cart and play it on a reel-to-reel machine.
Look at that. 475 radio carts for $20.
Overpriced, not worth the postage. John's talking about a high 8 transfer, and I actually have, believe it or not, a high 8 right here that I very reluctantly powered up last week and put a tape in it and played it. And it seems to be working. I don't know if it's going to work long term or die in the middle of it, but I've got tons of them I have to get transferred as well. In fact, I was sort of depressed when I saw last night how many tapes I have that have not been transferred. What I've been waiting on is for hard drive prices to drop, which they have been, because when you do a real full quality transfer using the Canopus, or however you pronounce it, device, it transfers to AVI, which is 13 gig per hour. And so I don't know. Again, I'm not a video guy. I don't understand much about video, and so it's aggravating. But I told you I bought this AG 1980 Panasonic VHS VCR with time-based correction, and it died on about my 5th tape.
Ooh.
So I don't have a way of doing high-quality VHS transfers at the moment, but I will come up with one. Looks like I'm going to end up spending a fortune, because if this high 8 doesn't do a decent transfer on my videos, I'll probably have to go out and buy a commercial high 8 playback deck.
Well, so you do.
I almost bought a digital 8 playback deck at one time.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't go that route.
It was just so expensive. I think it was like $800 or $900 at the time. This was over 10 years ago, and that was outrageous. But
Spence,
so it's getting close to 11. I'm going to have to.
We're actually going to cut it off at 11.
Oh, we are, okay.
No, specials, wait.
Oh, I do. I have.
What's going on? I haven't heard the specials in weeks.
Oh, we've had it. This is we had them last week and the week before. Did we have them the week before? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. There's nothing special. That's it. Thank you.
Before you do that, where is Nick here? Yes, no, he's not here. Well, never mind. I'll do this later.
His girlfriend called. He had to go.
Oh. But Andrew.
Yes.
Flickr is mobile only?
No. No, Flickr is Yahoo service.
I know. I hate that.
Why? You don't like Yahoo? Why?
Oh. All the games they played on their email accounts, and my daughter, it's a long story, but it's horrible. I even paid for her to have a Yahoo account so she could get her pop mail, and then they changed it and all. They just don't know what they're doing. I hate Yahoo.
That's because they brought all their employees into the office. They wouldn't let them work from home anymore, so they're all grumpy.
Mike, do you want to do some music after the show?
Nah.
Why?
Got too much to do.
Oh.
Hey, Mike, I'm going to give you a call, hopefully this afternoon, and talk about the video.
I will be around as far as
I'm definitely available to help.
Well, hopefully it will be mutual benefit.
Yeah, no, I see this as a great idea to just even just for me to get some practice.
Exactly, and it will do them a favor. They've got the video supposedly covered, but I got to tell you, it's just like me finding these cassettes. That I don't remember who in the station decided to record this thing that we did in 1982, but thank God somebody did. And it's like with you shooting that video, something goes wrong with all the other video. Now it's the only video available. I mean, it's gold plated.
Yep. That happened at a wedding I was at. I was shooting, I think I mentioned this last week, I shot one of two cameras, and the second camera, other perspective, the camera was stolen that night at the reception by a guest.
Wow.
You know
It was
what?
pretty bad.
I'm going to make an editorial comment and then you can do specials. But all I can tell you is that any thief who would steal a camera and doesn't at least return the content should burn in hell. It's bad enough to steal, but to steal memories is even worse.
Should burn in hell anyway.
Hey, you can't say that word on this show.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Since you're finally back,
I'm sorry, I have news to report.
okay.
Breaking news: the first snowflakes have fallen in Latham of the year.
No!
It snowed. I had to go look.
Really?
Yes, really, it snowed. I'm very excited right
You
now.
scoop it up and put it in the freezer to save it?
I did not. It hit the grass and it instantly disintegrated.
And where is the snow cam?
The snow cam is not set up.
Oh.
It was like it wasn't even snowflakes. It was just grarple, which is a
Might have been volcanic ash.
it was from what was it, Fukushima or whatever it was. It was just radiation from that.
It's space debris.
All right, here's a story that I want to very briefly cover with Nick. Roku's over-the-top video platform and a la carte channel operations were supposed to be the exception to the rule, or an example of how broadband can transform the viewing experience into a more dramatic, democratic, consumer-friendly process. But GigaOM has an interesting report explaining how, as the company grows and gets more successful, some of their behavior has started to look uncomfortably familiar. While getting your video app on Roku is free, content publishers are finding themselves surprised with Roku demands to pay up once their channel reaches a certain degree of success. Quote, I've had conversations with a number of publishers who have channels on Roku recently, all of whom declined to go on the record because of their existing business relationship with the company. They all had been approached by Roku to strike a commercial deal in recent months, and not everyone saw this coming. They called out of the blue, said one publisher, and I've been told more than once that Roku representatives were pretty aggressive in their demands for revenue-sharing deals, asking for cuts of advertising, subscription, and transactional pay-per-view revenue. They're acting like a cable company.
I have not been contacted by Roku. If I would have been, I would have taken the deal and ran.
Well, I think they're talking about the big guys. They're not going to talk, it's not.
Of course. But the big guys, they've already got.
But is it a bad thing? Why shouldn't they charge a company that's benefiting from their service?
I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they're acting like a cable company at all.
They got to make money.
It's called incrementalism.
The Roku's $100. They're not getting rich off of that. $99.
What does it cost them to operate that directory service?
They've got to hire the staff that's reviewing the apps. I mean, there's cost there.
I bet there are 3 people.
It doesn't matter, Mike. They need to make money, and if they can, I mean, yeah, I agree here.
Oh, I disagree. So let's think of another example. So I bought this lamp over here. So I go and I pay $30 for this lamp, and now they're going to charge me a fee to use it.
No, see, that correlation doesn't make any sense.
It does to me.
It doesn't. What is the lamp? What is the company that sold you the lamp providing you now that you own the lamp? Nothing. They're not providing you anything.
Light.
No, false. They are not providing you the light. That's your electric company.
Okay, then the bulb company.
Okay. Well, the bulb company is charging you to use the bulb, but the Roku is maintaining the directory.
All right.
They have staff hired to document the apps and to review them.
Okay, we're going to start charging for people watching us on the Roku.
Are you gonna? You have to update the quality if you're gonna charge them.
That'll save bandwidth.
Never mind losing all the viewers anyway.
All right, I'm done.
So you're going to require registration with a credit card to watch?
Yeah, that information needs to be forwarded to me, and
Yeah.
then I'll take care of it.
All right, specials.
we'll be good stewards of your financial information. No problem.
Not a problem.
Don't
I'll keep it in a .txt file.
It's
It'll
so
be
small
safe.
that we're not a target of the hackers. Don't worry. All right. So after we went ahead and had an expose on Toshiba, I was reluctant to mention the Toshiba machines on special today, but I will anyway.
They're not bad.
No, they're not bad. I mean, my experience was good. My recent experience has been good, but who knows? All right, Staples. They have got a entry-level 15.6-inch Celeron Toshiba laptop with well, it's basic 4 gig of memory, you know, a small hard drive, 320, something like that. $249.99, save $130. They have an i5 version of the same 15.6 inch with 8 gig of memory, 1 terabyte hard drive, $649, save $150. Epson Expression small-in-one inkjet printer, $79, save $20. Samsung Express mono laser printer with wireless and duplex, $79.99, save $80. And this is the deal of the day. If this is a good printer, Samsung Express color laser printer with wireless, $114.99, half price, $115 off.
I'm sorry. What printer was that?
It's a Samsung.
I wonder how much the ink is.
Color laser. Now, if you just need it for a project to work on and you throw it away when you're done,
Yeah.
I mean, the pricing, if it's a decent, I'm not sure the resolution it prints at, depending on the technology, but wow, that's a good deal. Toshiba 1 terabyte portable hard drive, $54.99, save $20. A 2 terabyte version for $109.99, save $10. A product called iSound, 4-port USB charger and 2-in-1 wall car charger. Now this is a multi-port USB charger. Plug it in. It looks like a USB hub actually, but it does provide charging power. And the other device in the package is a 2-in-1. It's a wall wart that will receive the car version. So you just pull the car charger out, use it in the car, plug it in the wall, and it works in the wall too. Good for travel. $24.99. 15.6-inch Lenovo i3 2-in-1 touchscreen laptop, $249.99, save $100. Samsung 23.6-inch LED monitor for $149.99, save $70. The Logitech K400 touch keyboard. This is the one that has the built-in glide pad, so you don't need a mouse. $29.99, save $10. And Netgear has 5-port gigabit switch for $34.99, 8-port gigabit switch for $54.99. This is all at Staples. Office Depot, Office Max. They have that same Toshiba entry-level laptop. I saw this after I wrote the first one. $219.99. That's $60 off their regular price. Brother wireless printer scanner, fax copier, inkjet printer with duplex, $79.99, save $20. Entry-level Toshiba Android tablet, $89.99. Samsung Galaxy Tab 4 7-inch tablet, $169.99, save $30. They've got a Dell 15.6-inch A4 touchscreen laptop for $349.99, save $130. They have a Dell i5 desktop computer, $499.99, save $80. 20-inch HP LED monitor for $89.99, save $30. Netgear AC dual band router, $99.99. And I've been doing a lot of research on AC lately and how that's taking the industry, the commercial industry especially, by storm now by providing all these very interesting services to allow you to have potentially thousands of users in a very small AC. Really doing a good job with carrying that technology forward, where it really you get to a limit of what you can do with so much spectrum, radio spectrum. They're really doing a good job. That's all at Office Depot, Office Max. At Best Buy, Dell 15.6-inch i3 touchscreen laptop, $379.99. They've got an Asus Memo Pad 7 8 gig tablet for $99.99. They've got something called LifeX Wi-Fi enabled multicolor LED bulbs, and I thought about AMNON. So they're only $79. A good deal, but it's a Wi-Fi multicolor screw-in regular base, and you can control it with your smartphone, tablet, with an app, and you can control the color and the intensity remotely. So if you got to have it, it's out there. It's $80. I mentioned the Asus tablet already, didn't I? Yes, 15.6-inch HP A8 touchscreen laptop, $399.99. Asus A10 desktop for $489.99, save $40. I have an Acer 20-inch LED monitor for $89, save $10. An Acer 23-inch IPS LED monitor for $129, save $50. Seagate 2 terabyte portable USB hard drive for $99.99, save $30. Western Digital Mainstream, apparently that's a new marketing term. Mainstream 1 terabyte desktop hard drive. So I guess that's their entry-level drive now. $59.99, save $5. And Toshiba 256 gig Q series solid state drive, $129.99, save $20. That is at Best Buy. And I actually talked to someone who works for Tiger Direct, who is in their business B2B, their business to business division. He said that they have decided not to run ads in the paper anymore because their main marketing focus is going to be business to business going forward. They'll still have their retail stores, but that's not where they're concentrating. So that's why we don't see the paper ads anymore.
Really?
Yep. That's what they're doing. So, oh well.
All right.
And there you have it.
Yeah, Spence, what we really need to do? Do you write those down on paper or something?
I do.
We really should try to get those up on the website somewhere.
Oh, we talked about that, and it was just it was a timing thing. And what I can try to do is to cut and paste. Actually, what it might be a good way to do it is to just, if I have the online ads, is just do a screen region capture and just paste it into a document.
Well, what I was thinking you could even do is you could just have a Google. These deals aren't good for probably more than a week. So if you just had a public Google Doc that people could view, you could just edit that once a week or whatever, and have a static link to it.
In the past, we talked about it, but it just takes so much time.
Yeah.
To do it, and I do it literally just in the morning before the show.
Okay.
So, but no, it's a good thought. Maybe there's something I can do.
That's when the paper comes in.
I'd even be interested in dealing with the web stuff because I think it would be nice for them to, instead of having to re-listen to the show or go to that point of the show, they'd be able to.
Maybe there's a way we can. You do something using voice capture or something.
Maybe AMNON can hire a transcriber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Go to one of the
we could hire the AT&T database guy.
Yeah, and that'll work.
He's a scribe. He sits there and writes everything down. So.
He rewrites because he doesn't know.
Yep. But actually, let me think about that because I just had the thought if I'm going to do it online, I can just literally do use Snagit or something like that and just capture that screen region from the ad and just paste it into a document. That'd be an easy way to do it.
Yeah, and if you did it on Google Drive, you wouldn't even have to upload it anywhere.
If I did it right, I could actually read it from that document too. What I used to do years ago was I brought the ads with me to the studio at the radio station and I just circled the ads.
Big Sharpie.
That's how it
easy.
was. Yeah.
I mean, I didn't write anything down. I literally went through the ads. I felt like Fiorello LaGuardia reading the comics during the newspaper strike back in the 30s in New York. So.
I got the reference.
You got it. Good. Hey, all right, good.
All right. Okay, well. I guess if we don't have any other stories to talk about, there's one more thing I want to bring up. And Mike, you chime on this. parents can be held liable for what their kids post on Facebook. A Georgia appellate court ruled in a decision that lawyers said marked a legal precedent on the issue of parental responsibility over their children's online activity. The Georgia Court of Appeals ruled that the parent of a 7th grade student may be negligent for failing to get their son to delete a fake Facebook profile that allegedly defamed a female classmate. Yeah. I guess Mike. What do you think about that?
Well, whatever. I mean, it's who cares anymore?
In New York, if you're over the age of 16 and you get arrested, they're not required to call your parents.
Oh,
Were you aware of that? One of 3 states, I think, something like that does that once you're over the age of 16.
The issue that you're bringing up is very state specific, and how the states deal with it will vary. I mean, California, anything goes. I mean, it's insane. In Detroit, anything goes, and so who knows how it's going to be dealt with. I don't know that anybody cares about that anymore.
No.
did you see the story this past week about the 5-year-old that was made without her parents there to sign a document saying that she wouldn't commit suicide or hurt anybody else in her school because she drew a picture that they interpreted was a weapon?
Oh God.
So they literally took this kid aside in an office without her parents knowing, and made her sign a document saying, "I promise I won't commit suicide or kill anybody else."
Contract.
A 5-year-old.
Well, but hang on a second. That's totally stupid. Don't misunderstand my question. But the contract has absolutely zero meaning or value. It's only something that they were trying to do to motivate the child to think about what he or she was doing.
Well, I understand that, but I think the school board or at least the principal doesn't know that.
Well, I don't agree. I don't agree. I mean, you have to be 18 to enter into a contract.
Yeah. They make you sign contracts at, I think, every public high school that you won't do this, you got to sign a computer contract that you won't do this, you won't do that stuff. It's all just in school stuff. It's not valid outside of school.
When you raise your hand as a Boy Scout and do the oath of whatever. I mean, it's a psychological thing. You're right. I agree.
Yeah, doesn't mean anything. It's internal.
It's signing an agreement. Agreement. If you're a moral person, an agreement is as good as a signed contract. So
yeah, well, it depends. If now that contract in that school that would be used for in school things. So let's say that student did something that they signed the contract for, the school would be able to say, all right, you're suspended or you've got this and you signed this and that's why. But it's not like they can take legal action.
My real problem is not the fact that they tried to do this. It's that they did it without the parents.
Yeah.
That's where I have the problem.
And you know what? A lot of things offend me. That one's not one of them. It was just a gesture is all it was. And I mean, let me ask you this. If the school is going to put one of your kids in timeout, do they need to get parents' permission to do that?
I don't think so.
But all of their actions were based solely on someone's interpretation of what this child did, which they did not understand. The child is not old enough to understand.
Right. But let me ask you this. If they had told that child to go right 5 times, "I will be a nice person," that's the same exact effect. Would that have offended you?
No, because they didn't mention the word suicide or kill somebody else.
Well, no, I'm not passing comment on the content. Without seeing it, maybe I'm missing part of the reason you object to it. But the mere act of putting in writing what you're going to agree to do, so that you can establish some sort of a notice provision, that in and of itself.
Like I said, I don't have a problem with that. The fact that they felt they needed to take some action, but why didn't they bring the parent in to talk to the parent first? That's the part I have a problem with.
That's an interesting point.
I mean, this is more than just I smacked Bobby and I promise I won't do it again.
Yeah, well, soon
No.
if a teacher just looks the wrong way at a kid, he or she is going to be
Yep.
reprimanded.
No, I realize. Yeah, are you following this story down in Houston with the mayor saying that all the local pastors have to submit all this information, their sermons, their private text messages, because these religious leaders in Houston took a position against this generic bathroom bill that they came up with that said that men and women can use the same bathroom, as a new ordinance they wanted to pass in Houston. So the people in churches said, no, we're not going to do this. And they actually came up with a legal number of signatures to put it on the ballot as a referendum for the public to vote on. And the city the mayor took offense to that and said, nope, you guys need to give us, you can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. Well, it's the law. They were following the law. You need to turn over all your information to us. We insist you must provide. They've sent them a letter. Text messages, emails, copies of sermons, everything related to this subject.
They backed off a lot of that, by the way.
Oh, they did. I know, but they thought it was okay.
Who's to say? I mean, they're without getting into the issue, because I don't really have an opinion on it at this point. But there is right now in North Carolina a constitutional amendment banning gay marriage. There's a constitutional amendment in North Carolina. It has not been overruled and it has not been repealed, but the tea leaves are that it will be declared unconstitutional, and as a result, the law enforcement is choosing not to enforce a constitutional amendment. So getting people together and voting on something is, for the most part, according to your perspective, is probably a waste of time. It doesn't matter anymore.
Yep.
Yeah, it's
judiciary can trump because the Supreme Court. The background behind that was because the Supreme Court chose not to hear another case. It set the stage for all these other legal challenges to go forward.
Not quite.
Isn't that what
Because they
happened?
refused to hear the case, they let the lower court ruling stand, which became controlling law.
Which basically nullified a lot of other laws.
What do you mean the law enforcement is choosing to not enforce it? It's more than that. I mean, didn't they make?
There are magistrates in North Carolina that are resigning rather than being required to perform marriage ceremonies.
Well, one did.
I thought there was more than one, but I haven't kept up with it.
There's at least two that I know of.
Yeah.
Two have chosen to retire.
You know what? And that's the right answer. If you don't like it, go do something else.
Yeah.
If you got a problem with it, don't do it. There are plenty of people who love to have your job.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they were showing other judges and magistrates that were celebrating.
Yeah, more power to them.
Yeah. Anyway.
Majority rules, even if you don't like it.
Who has 4G on their phone?
Not me.
I do.
Who has what?
Anybody with a smartphone in the last 4 years does.
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do it's not just the phone. It's a service in the area.
Well, 4G is pretty widespread across the United States.
Now there's 5G. As wireless carriers around the globe continue their 4G LTE rollout, researchers and industry heavyweights have already turned their attention to next-generation wireless implementations. Samsung's research and development arm, for example, created its 5G mobile wireless technology well over a year ago and have been testing and optimizing it ever since. The company recently put it to the test and achieved what it's called industry best speed record. In a stationary environment, Samsung clocked 7.5 gigabits or 940 megabytes per second, which is fastest ever 5G stationary. So we're looking at higher and higher speed. Now, the cap on that is probably 250. And
Do you
you're
remember
gonna-
the controversy a couple years ago because people were companies are calling it 4G when it isn't really true
Right.
4G? It's
Right.
just they were using 4G as a marketing
Well,
term.
it was Sprint, wasn't it? Sprint doing it?
Oh, AT&T was
all of
doing
them,
it too.
yeah,
Oh.
all of them were doing it because 4G is a certain speed, and nobody had that speed.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Now I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Okay.
4G LTE long-term evolution is 1 gig peak download, 500 megabits peak upload.
Yeah.
So
All right. Well, that was fun.
It was.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. All right.
All right.
Any last words from anybody?
Winter is upon us,
Yep.
at least in Albania.
Well, in that case, we'll just finish it up. Thanks, Nick.
Mhm.
Thanks, Spence. Mike. Steve is gone and Andrew is gone already. Thanks, guys. Good morning. I mean, yeah, still good morning. Kathy, Hannah, Nabil, Mac, Norm, Katie, and Donna. Thank you, everybody, for tuning to Computers 2K Now. We hope you enjoyed and maybe learned something from our time together. Remember to practice safe computing. Back up your hard drive and update your virus scanner. We'll be back here next Sunday at 9, but you can always reach us at computers2know.com. And while you're at it, like us on Facebook, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and tune in tonight at 8 o'clock for the Tanya Love Show. Tomorrow morning at 11, it's the Health In Show, and at 1, it's the Breaking Free. We'll see you later.
You are tuned to the Nissan Communications Network. Our weekly lineup of call-in programs includes Computers 2K Now with AMNON Nissan, Health In with Debbie Bruck, Breaking Free with Marilyn Shannon, Lessons of Vietnam with NCVVI members, The Tanya Love Show, Your Healthy Pet with Gisela DiCarlo. And if you tuned in too late, you can always watch each program in its entirety or download an MP3 audio file of it at www.nissancommunications.com. Sponsored by Atomus.com, makers of quality video recorders and converters for professionals, CarolinaApparel.com, and DeltaForce.net.